Well, here it is. This is my video number 13. Yesterday I told you that was video 13, but that was only video 12. And anyway, I'd like to entitle this little talk, it's hard to know what to call it. Maybe I'll tell you in a little bit what I'll call it after I get going here. But circumstances and things that happen to you. I share this little story, how they end up benefiting you when you think you're going through terrible things. They end up being just what you needed. Sometimes you don't find out for a year or two or three. But anyway, when I graduated from high school, had academy, I went to a parochial school. I was 19 years old when I graduated. My folks started me later. But anyway, I got drafted that next fall. Or I was going to be drafted, so I upped my draft to go in with a bunch of friends at the same time, so we go through training together. And after I got done with my training, I spent 7.5 months at Fort Ord, California, working in a dispensary. I was a medic. And then they decided, when we only had about 11 months left in service, to send us to Vietnam. So we all went to Vietnam. And I got over there, and I was just sure that I was going to get put in a hospital unit. That was my hopes. You know, it's a lot safer there. It's not totally safe, but a lot safer than being out in the infantry or something. Well, I got over there, and I spent 2 or 3 days, I think it was, day or two anyway, in the holding area, waiting for my assignment. Well, one morning I'm standing there waiting, and all of a sudden I hear Jorgensen, David W., 25th Infantry Division. My heart was in my boots. And then, to make matters worse, when the sergeant comes up to talk to me, he says, well, those guys are going to be glad to see you. We just lost 3 or 4 medics. Oh, that really made me feel really great. Just lost 3 or 4 medics? Good news. Well, to make a long story short, I was with that outfit for several weeks, and we were securing the Minh Hoa Air Base there by Saigon. Lots of Agent Orange going around there to keep the brush down. And I look back on it now, and that's what caused it. But anyway, every time I went on into the infantry after a few days, I got hives real bad. You wouldn't even recognize me. My hands were swollen up so much I couldn't even open and close them. And my face was all puffed up. My back felt like it was 3 inches thick, and my scalp felt the same way. And so they would send me to the rear, and they'd get them cleaned up, and then they'd send me back out. And they had told me the last time, don't come back until those are taken care of. Well, they sent me back out, and it was a light rain, and we were riding in the back of the Deuce and Half. By the time I got there, sure enough, the hives were back. And he said, I thought I told you not to come back. And I said, well, I only take orders, and I didn't have any when I left. So anyway, then we moved up to Tay Ninh, which was about 80 miles southwest of Saigon, and our job was to take the Virgin Mountain, which never was taken. And I learned through a Vietnamese pastor that I met at a pastor's retreat that almost everybody that went there died. And it was Thanksgiving Day, and I was 21 years old on Thanksgiving Day, and we were on the base, and boy, did they put on a spread for us. It was beautiful. Anyway, and the next day we were scheduled to go out, but they told me not to go because I was getting transferred to a rear outfit, and they wanted me to get my papers in order. And so I told the guys, well, if I'm still here tomorrow, I will go out with you. And while I was doing my paperwork, messages came back. We'd lost 7 or 8 guys dead, and a bunch of them arms and legs gone. And I'm thinking to myself, and I would have been there. They're telling us who it was, And it was a kind of a shocker for me. But anyway, the next day I did leave. And then I went up 300 miles north to a place called Chulai. Well, my cousin's husband, who I went to school with, happened to be the man, the company's clerk there. And was he ever surprised when I walked in? I knew he was there because I recognized the address on my paper, so I knew I was going to see him. Anyway, I was there at Chulai for, well, that was in November when I left. I think it was, I can't remember. It was in the spring anyway. It's getting around May or June or July. And I went to Australia on R&R. But my hives started coming back that spring. And anyway, I had volunteered because we had a new mission. I had volunteered to go on a forward aid station mission where we had to travel Highway 1, which was heavily mined. And I played softball over there. I was a pitcher, and this guy that was my real good friend was my catcher. And so we were going to go on the same truck. We were going together as a team, and they went in a convoy. Well, I showed up to go, and the doctor says to me, "Where are you going?" And I said, "I'm going on this mission." He says, "No, you're not." He says, "You're going down to Quin Yon until they figure out those hives." So I didn't go. Well, I was at Quin Yon for a while, and finally it got down to the point where I only had about a month left, and they weren't doing anything. I was sitting down there drinking Kool-Aid and eating ice cream and reading novels, nothing to do. And so then they came through one day, and I told him, maybe I could go back to my company and get my things in order because my ETS, but the day to leave is the 31st of August. And next day, the doctor comes back in and he says, "Pack your bags, Troop. You're going back to the world tomorrow." I came back medevac because of the hives. And I didn't even get to go home. My buddies had to pack all my stuff up. But anyway, I was back home and I learned that my friend that I would have been with hit a mine and was killed. So here I was, disappointed that I couldn't go, and it was going to be an exciting thing, and it saved my life. Just like before, it saved my life that I got out of the entry. The day I got out, we lost all those men. And it was only worse after that, from what I understand. And anyway, I was home for the summer. I was down at Presidio, hitchhiking back and forth up to Fortuna, California, where I lived. And I happened to be home time to go to our denomination's camp meeting, which was quite a big deal. And I wouldn't have been there to go, but when I went there, this gal was there that we'd been really good friends. We grew up together, went to school together, did everything together, and we did a lot of talking. We're just really good friends. And anyway, I was interested in her, and she told me, that she was she had gotten pregnant, and the guy had run off. And so I asked her if she would marry me. And she was about 7 months pregnant. And so we decided to get married, and we got married. And I have developed this little saying that being in Vietnam, the hives saved my life twice and got me my wife. Because I wouldn't have been home in time to meet her again, and she had moved away, and so we never would have gotten in contact. But anyway, never complain and get disgruntled with the unfortunate things that happen in your life, because you never know. They may have been a pure benefit, just like that was for me. Saved my life twice, got me my wife, so never get disgruntled over circumstances. And that's it for tonight. I went a little Got a little long-winded tonight, but if you're interested in the Super Affiliate Network and the things that I am doing and that I am so excited about that's changing my life, it's going to get me back out on the West Coast in the next year or so, you just click the button below and it'll tell you, and you can look it over yourself and decide for yourself. Anyway, that's it for tonight, folks.